My name is Leo. I'm 24 years old, and if you saw me on the street, you'd probably think I was the most unremarkable guy in the world. I'm a freelance architect, I drink too much coffee, and I have a bad habit of biting my nails when I'm stressed. But for the last 6 months, I haven't been living a normal life. I've been living in a waking nightmare, and the worst part isn't the thing hiding in the basement, it's the people I share my DNA with. I grew up in the shadow of my older brother, Silas. Silas is one of those people who radiates a fake sort of warmth, the kind that feels like a heater that's about to short circuit and burn your house down. He was the star athlete, the straight A student, the one my parents, David and Elena, practically worshipped. I was just the spare, the one who stayed in his room drawing floor plans while Silas was out winning trophies and, secretly, breaking windows and blaming it on the neighbor's kids. My parents always believed him. Every time. It didn't matter if I had proof. Silas had this way of looking them in the eye with a trembling lip and saying, "Why would Leo lie about me like that?" And suddenly, I was the villain. The real trouble started when my great-aunt Beatrice passed away. She was a recluse who lived in a massive, decaying Victorian estate in the mountains of Vermont. No one had visited her in years because, frankly, the woman was terrifying. But when she died, she left the house to me. Not to Silas. To me. The family was livid. "It must be a mistake," my dad said at the reading of the will, his face turning a dark shade of purple. Silas didn't say anything. He just sat there, tapping his fingers on the mahogany table, staring at me with eyes that looked like cold glass. I moved into the house a week later. I needed the space, and honestly, I wanted to be as far away from my parents' disappointment as possible. The house was a lot. It smelled like old paper and dried roses. The floorboards didn't just creak, they groaned, like the house was shifted its weight in its sleep. About 3 days in, the scratching started. It was faint at first, just a dry, rhythmic sound coming from behind the wainscoting in the library. I figured it was rats. I bought traps, but they stayed empty. Then the scratching moved. It moved to my bedroom ceiling, then to the inside of my closet. I called Silas. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me still wanted a brother. "The house is falling apart, Leo," Silas said over the phone, his voice dripping with mock sympathy. "Aunt Beatrice was crazy. She probably left you that place because she knew it would drive you insane, too. Why don't you just sign it over to me? I can have a crew come in and flip it. I'll even give you 10%. "I'm not selling, Silas," I said, my grip tightening on the phone. "Suit yourself," he clicked his tongue. "But don't say I didn't warn you. You always were the sensitive one, seeing things that aren't there." The gaslighting had begun. A week later, my parents showed up unannounced. They didn't come to see how I was doing. They came to inspect the property. My mother walked through the halls with a handkerchief over her nose, acting like she was walking through a sewer. My father kept pointing out structural flaws that didn't exist. "It's dangerous here, Leo," my mom said, her voice trembling with forced concern. "Silas told us you've been hearing things. He's worried you're having a breakdown. Maybe the isolation is getting to you." "I'm fine," I snapped. "I'm just tired." That night, they stayed over. I put them in the guest wing on the second floor. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to a scream. Not a small scream, but a gut-wrenching, soul-shattering shriek. I ran into the hallway and found my mother standing by the basement door. It was wide open. "Something was down there," she sobbed, clutching my father's arm. A face. In the dark. It looked like it didn't have any skin. My father looked at me, his eyes full of accusation. "What kind of sick games are you playing, Leo? Did you set something up down there to scare your mother?" I was asleep. I yelled. But then Silas stepped out from the shadows of the hallway. I didn't even know he was there. He must have driven up late and let himself in. He looked at me with this sickeningly calm expression. "I saw him, Dad. I saw Leo messing with the basement latch earlier." I didn't want to say anything because I thought he was just being weird, but this is too much. I stood there paralyzed. He was lying. He was lying right to my face in my own house, and my parents were nodding, soaking it up like thirsty plants. "Pack your bags," my father said, his voice cold. We're taking you to a clinic in the morning. Silas will look after the house. No, I said. It was a small word, but it felt like a lead weight. Get out. Leo, don't be. Get out. I roared. They left. Silas was the last one out the door. He leaned in close to my ear, his breath smelling like peppermint. It's a great house, Leo. It really is. It's just a shame you won't be around to enjoy it. The thing in the basement? It's not a ghost. It's a legacy, and it only eats the ones who don't belong. I locked the door and pushed a heavy dresser in front of it. I was alone, or I thought I was. I went back to the library. I needed to find something. Aunt Beatrice wasn't just a recluse. She was a historian. I started tearing apart the bookshelves, looking for anything about the legacy Silas mentioned. Near dawn, I found a hidden compartment in a desk. Inside was a leather-bound journal. The entries weren't about ghosts. They were about a death. The firstborn son is given the world, Beatrice had written in shaky script. The second-born son is given the truth. The house requires a witness. If the witness leaves, the darkness follows the bloodline. Silas is the favorite because they are afraid of him. They know what he is. They know he is the one the basement is calling for. My heart stopped. The scratching started again, but this time it wasn't behind the walls. It was under my feet. I realized then that Silas hadn't been trying to drive me out just to get the house. He was trying to drive me out so he could become whatever was down there. He wanted the power Beatrice had kept locked away. I heard a window break upstairs. He was back. I grabbed a heavy iron poker from the fireplace and headed toward the basement. I didn't turn on the lights. I knew the layout by heart now. I reached the door and saw the lock had been tampered with. It wasn't Silas coming for me. It was the house opening up for him. I went down the stairs. The air was thick, like breathing through wet wool. In the corner of the cellar, behind a false stone wall, I saw Silas. He was kneeling in front of a hole in the ground that shouldn't have been there. He was whispering. I'm the one, he was saying. I'm the golden child. I'm the one they love. Take me instead. Then, a hand, if you could call it that, reached out of the hole. It was long, gray, and tipped with nails that looked like obsidian. It stroked Silas's cheek. He didn't flinch. He looked ecstatic. Silas, I yelled. He turned, and for a second, I saw his real face. Not the handsome, charming brother, but a hollow, desperate shell. You don't understand, Leo. You're just a background character. You were always meant to be the one who watched me become a god. You're not a god, I said, stepping into the light of my flashlight. You're a fraud. You've been a fraud your whole life. You lied about the grades, you lied about the trophies, and you lied to Mom and Dad. You're nothing but a thief. The hand paused. The scratching sound intensified, coming from the hole itself. The house doesn't want a witness, I said, remembering the journal. It wants the truth, and the truth is you're a coward. The gray hand suddenly gripped Silas's throat. His eyes went wide. The warmth he usually faked vanished, replaced by pure, unadulterated terror. Leo, help me, he choked out. I stood there. I thought about the lemon squares. I thought about the 12 missed calls I'd eventually get. I thought about the years of being invisible. You said it yourself, Silas, I whispered. We'd all be better off without you. I turned around and walked up the stairs. I didn't run. I didn't slam the door. I just closed it and turned the key. The screams from below were muffled by the heavy wood, sounding more like a distant wind than a human voice. I called my parents an hour later. He's gone, I told my dad when he answered. What do you mean gone? Leo, if you've done something. He came back for the house, I said, my voice dead calm. He went into the basement. I think he found what he was looking for. But the door is locked from the inside now. I can't open it. I stayed in that house. I still live here. My parents don't visit anymore. They're too busy dealing with the missing person investigation that never leads anywhere. They still blame me in their hearts, but they're too afraid to say it to my face. Sometimes late at night, I hear a scratching sound from beneath the floorboards in the library. It's rhythmic. It's desperate. It sounds like someone trying to type a message on a keyboard they can't see. I just turn up the music and keep drawing my plans. Because for the first time in my life, I'm not the background character. I'm the one who stayed. And the truth? The truth is finally quiet. Would you like me to expand on what Leo found in the journal? Or describe the final confrontation between the parents and the new Leo?